indeed, it was visible for me today that Bulgaria has a strong tradition in defense industry. It shows. Bulgaria has the highest defense industry turnover relative to GDP in the European Union. And it is also the only member state where the largest private employer is a defense company.
While Ursula von der Leyen praised Bulgaria's defense industry inside the VMZ factory, outside a very different scene was unfolding. Nationalist groups led by the Revival Party staged protests, blocking traffic and surrounding a car they believed carried the EU chief. Protesters waved Bulgarian and Russian flags, chanting slogans like "NATO out" and calling von der Leyen an unwelcome guest.
Here you are producing large quantities of ammunition, much of which is supporting Ukraine in its fight for freedom. And at the beginning of the war, 1/3 of the weapons used in Ukraine was coming from Bulgaria. So I want to thank you first and foremost for your ironclad support to our brave neighbor and partner, Ukraine.
To the demonstrators, these words confirmed their fears. Revival's leader, Costa declared that Bulgaria is being forced into a war that is not theirs, turned into a weapons supplier for Ukraine, without the consent of its people.
Dear Prime Minister, Russia's brutal war against Ukraine is in its 4th year now. It is obvious that Putin will not stop there. He has built a full-scale war economy, also because of the biting sanctions that we have imposed. So it is an old-fashioned but full-scale war economy that he has, and he will continue to produce at large scale. So as we strengthen Ukraine's defense, we must also take greater responsibility for our own defense. And to improve our readiness and defense posture, we have together worked in the European Council at the European level, first and foremost for financial support. We have together created the SAFE instrument, that is 150 billion euros for joint procurement, and it was built in record time. And I must say I'm very glad to say today that it has been subscribed also in record time. Thank you, Bulgaria, also for taking part in the subscription for the SAFE instrument. Now we have to invest these 150 billion euros in joint procurement.
As von der Leyen praised new EU-funded defense projects, protesters grew louder. They warned that Brussels is not bringing peace or prosperity, but deeper entanglement with NATO and confrontation with Russia. For many Bulgarians in the square, her promises of jobs and security sounded like a threat, not an opportunity.
And Prime Minister, you told me that you are planning on investing this European funding from the SAFE instrument right here at VMZ. You are planning to build a plant for gunpowder and, of course, extending the existing plant that I just had the pleasure to visit. And you're planning another one for artillery shells that is in line with NATO standards. And this is exactly the kind of project that we want to see. It will bring good jobs to the region. Up to 1,000 new jobs will come here to Sopot, thanks to these projects. But we increase also our ammunition production. We strengthen our collective security. We strengthen our cooperation with NATO. We support the brave Ukrainian armed forces. And as I said, we create good jobs here. We create good jobs in the region. And therefore, this will be lasting growth also here in the region.
Inside the factory, Ursula von der Leyen spoke of European pride. Outside, the chants told another story, of a Bulgaria divided, with a growing movement that sees Brussels not as a partner, but as an intruder.
At the moment, being everywhere in Europe, we are speeding up the production because the times we live in call for it. Our production capacity should reach 2 million shells by the end of this year. And as I said, we have to keep up the sense of urgency. Putin has not changed and he will not change. He is a predator. He can only be kept in check through strong deterrence. And therefore, as we have now the funding, we have now to be fast and well coordinated with the surge in our defense posture, that is the investment and the implementation of the investment. And this is why we will have a roadmap together. In October in the European Council, we will discuss what are the gaps that we have in defense, how do we want to fill those gaps, and what are the targets and milestones that we have to fulfill to 2030 to fill the gaps in our defense posture. Finally, let me say that today here I can confirm that Bulgaria is actively contributing to both Ukraine and the European Union's defense security. Thank you very much for that. And Bulgaria's contribution and its defense industry, I think, is a good reason, not just for national pride, but also for European pride. So thank you very much for that.
Indeed, you did ask what is the position of Bulgaria. I will allow myself to answer. Bulgaria's place is where the National Assembly decides. The decision of the National Assembly is that we will not send out troops in Ukraine.
Но същевременно нашето участие ще бъде, както вече имах възможност да спомена, в морския домен чрез антиминни кораби, спомагателни кораби, по отношение на въздушния домен с летищна и друга спомагателна инфраструктура. Ние ще си изпълним ангажимента като страна, част от коалицията на желаящите, в рамките и в предела на решението на Народното събрание.
Thank you.
Well, the coalition of the willing is a success. And I would like to commend President Macron and Prime Minister Keir Starmer for their leadership in building this coalition of willing, mobilizing not only the European Union member states, but also other European countries like Norway, Iceland, Turkey, and other countries out of Europe, like Canada, New Zealand, Australia. A large coalition, and 26 of these members of this coalition have agreed to integrate this effort to provide security guarantees to Ukraine to ensure a lasting peace in Ukraine. Is a force to reassurance the Ukrainian army and to deter any future attacks from Russia.